everybody, this is Pitch Cold Black here, and welcome back to another instalment of the Skulls General Reviews, in which today I'm going to be reviewing the Cabinet of. Let us begin this, well, what is hopefully going to be quite a long Skulls General Reviews instalment, as I really want to go into detail with this one, by taking a look at the presentation of this Doctor Who book. So for the cover, framed in this sort of silvery, silver frame, we have Doctor Who novellas, the Cabinet of Light, Daniel O'Mahony, with the sort of centrepiece of this Doctor Who book right in the middle there. As you can just about see there, I'm not 100% sure what it's supposed to be, but I'm assuming it's supposed to be like a cubist or minimalist version of the sun, with this sort of undulating sort of lattice work sort of pattern that I can't help but compare to the album cover of I think it's Tommy by The Who, which I actually have on CD and I haven't listened to it yet. Ooh, naughty. Anyways, on the spine we have Doctor Who, the Cabinet of Light, Daniel O'Mahony, Telos. And then we've just got a continuation of that lattice work like effect on the back of the book. Then for the interior of this Doctor Who book we have blue pages, just some blue pages at the start of the book, and the built-in fabric bookmark exclusive to the deluxe. Doctor Who novellas, Telos Publishing, number 417 out of 800 limited edition, with the autographs by Daniel O'Mahony, I Don't Know, and I Don't Know. Very awesome to have Daniel O'Mahony's autograph in my collection, as he is one of my favourite Doctor Who authors, to be honest. Doctor Who novellas, The Cabinet of Light, Doctor Who novellas, The Cabinet of Light, Daniel O'Mahony, telos.co.uk, various copyright goof. The Cabinet of Light, Daniel O'Mahony. A foreword by Chaz Brenchley, who I'm thinking might be one of these autographs here. And then taking after the sort of foreword, or just directly after the foreword, we have a piece of wonderful concept artwork which depicts a very sort of dank and gloomy London street, surrounded by fog, with a sort of a lamp up here, or a sort of street lamp up here, with the sort of St. Paul's Cathedral up there, some sort of angel statue, all sorts of fogs and mist and clouds, some sort of building up there. Then for the characters on this, we have I think the character Amber, and then there we have the Gollum character in this Doctor Who book, which I'll get more into later on, Abarax. Abarax. And then there we have one of the main characters, Honry Lasher, or Honro Lasher. I don't quite know how you pronounce his name, but apologies if I've pronounced it wrong throughout this review. And then we have a prologue and the start of this Doctor Who novella. This is a 110 page long Doctor Who novella spread across a prologue, as well as 8 chapters. I was about to say 8 witnesses, because that's like the end, that's the name of the final chapter. And yes, they all have sort of names, the chapters. And then there we've got acknowledgements about the author, which is pretty interesting to read. Just a bit about Daniel O'Mahony, and the fact that he previously wrote Falls to Shadow and Man in the Velvet Mask for the Virgin New Adventures and Missing Adventures range. He's only written Falls to Shadow, Man in the Velvet Mask, and this, which is hugely disappointing, to be honest. Not this book, which is hugely disappointing, just the fact that he's written so little for Doctor Who, not necessarily this book. And then we've got a bit about Time Hunter, and a sort of precursor and advertisement for the first Time Hunter Doctor Who book, Time Hunter spin-off Doctor Who book that is going to be published, which was available in August 2003. The winning sign by Lance Parkin, who I'm not a fan of. I really disliked his novel The Dying Days. He really parks in a turd for me. And then there we've got Already Available, which is just basically an advertisement for various Doctor Who novellas already published by Telos. Time and Relative, Citadel of Dreams, Night Dreamers, Ghost Ship, Foreign Devils, Riptide, Wonderland, Shell Shock. And then there we've got a coming soon for Fallen Gods, and then a synopsis on this Doctor Who novella at the top there. Doctor Who, The Cabinet of Light by Daniel Mahoney. Where is the Doctor? Everyone is hunting him. Henri Lacheur, a time-sensitive fixer, is hired by a mystery woman, Emily Blandish, to find him. Lacheur discovers that the Doctor is in fact a semi-mythical figure who has appeared off and on throughout Earth's history. But what is his connection with London 1949? And why is a mysterious group seeking the Cabinet of Light, a device somehow connected with the Doctor? Lacheur is about to discover something, or is about to discover that that following in the Doctor's footsteps can be a difficult task. And at the back there we've just got a couple more of those blank blue pages from the start of this book. Now with the presentation of this Doctor Who book, or Doctor Who Telos novella book out of the way with, what is the general consensus and my own personal thoughts and opinions on The Cabinet of Light by Daniel O'Mahony? As for the general consensus of this book, it is overall very positive, with an average rating of 3.85 out of 5 on Goodreads, with numerous 3-star, 4-star and 5-star reviews, generally nothing lower than 3-star reviews. Do I agree or disagree on the general consensus on this opening instalment to the Time Hunter series? Let us find out. Doctor Who spin-offs Doctor Who spin-off novels are nothing new, and I think the origin of that type of Doctor Who book stems from this range. To my knowledge, this was the very first major acclaimed spin-off Doctor Who book range there was. Since the early 2000s, Telos Publishing went up until the mid-2000s, whilst with publishing their popular Doctor Who novella range, which started with Time and Relative, which I have reviewed. It was a previous Skulls General Reviews instalment as a matter of fact, and ended in the mid-2000s with the Dalek Factor. Almost in anticipation of the range going defunct, Telos began to publish what was known as the Time Hunter series of novellas, a series of science fiction adventure books featuring Henri Lacheur and Emily Blandish, which actually span off from this novella featuring those two characters and an unspecified incarnation of the Doctor. So, as you can see, this novella had quite a bit to live up to, and with Daniel O'Mahony at the pen, the writer of what is currently my 4th favourite Doctor Who book of all time, Falls the Shadow, fucking read it, I was feeling confident that this was going to be a good read. I was not disappointed in the slightest. This is a noir thriller mystery featuring Honro and Emily as the main characters, presumably set somewhere in Germany shortly after World War II. Actually, a total brain fart there. I'm pretty sure it's actually, I'm not 100% sure where this book is set, to be honest, in terms of geographical location, because the concept art would suggest that it is in London, but at the same time I feel like it's partially set in Germany, as there is like actual symbolisms of Nazi swastikas and people worshipping Hitler, which gives the indication that it's set shortly after World War II. And as well, I think they mentioned the war in this Doctor Who book as just being over with, which in my opinion is an indicator to World War II, and the Time Hunter series sort of follows on with that in The Tunnel at the End of the Light, which I finished reading last night, and that is also has mentions of what is called the war being just over. So with people worshipping Hitler and symbolisms of Nazi swastikas in this Doctor Who book, I think this Doctor Who book is set after World War II. That I am 100% sure on. But in terms of geographical location, I am not 100% sure, as the concept art suggests London, but I'm pretty sure it's shortly set somewhere. It was set somewhere in Germany, or maybe there's just lots of Germans still in London, which wouldn't really make sense to me, but still. Basic plot summation, without spoiling anything, is that Le Shoeur is sent a mission to find the Doctor by the Doctor's wife, Emily Blandish. Yes, you heard me right. Along the way, trying to find him, Honro encounters the mysterious Eric Walkin, a magician who has apparently found the Doctor. We also get introduced to a villain slash monster for this story, the creature mech suit encased something like the Ice Warriors or Daleks, Abrax, which, as you can see in this conceptual depiction of him in this deluxe exclusive illustration. And with regards to the plot, I am not going to say anything else. As for positives of this story, I will say that the characterization is pretty great overall. Our main characters, Honro and Blandish, are very well characterized overall, and this book excellently serves as an introductory story for them, with it ending with these sort of lines saying that the future awaits them. Their hands were held together, a joint fist of interlocking fingers. "Can you see them?" Emily asked. She was thinking of the Doctor. He could sense it through her skin. She cast her gaze back up the bank, but when Le Shoeur turned to look, there was no one there but the shambling old men of the shore. They looked down at the companions, curious spectators, their face smudged and illegible, their costumes once gaudy but now frayed. Le Shoeur thought he heard faint voices caught on the wind from above, but he could hear what they were saying. No, it was a bird song, the shriek of seagulls wheeling in an alien sky, and Emily, no longer thinking about the Doctor, turned back to face the river. Emily Blandish and Honro Le Shoeur didn't move from the bank, but clung together until they were sure that Abrax's body was gone. Le Shoeur was tired, and he felt Emily's weariness in the weight reassuring on his arm. On the river, monsters moaned in foghorn voices, and their huge lumbering silhouettes slid by in the murk. Abraxas bobbed down to join them. They waited until the speck of his body was enveloped by the fog, then Le Shoeur and Emily walked off the bank and were swallowed up themselves, at least until the morning. Out there, in London, the future was waiting for them. Probably what you are most interested in with regards to the characters is the Doctor. This is the first time I have read a Doctor Who novel where the titular character is not specifically stated as to being in which incarnation. Many hints are given as to what incarnation this Doctor can be, and as a matter of fact only comes into the limelight for one singular chapter, just to say fuck you to all of your previous assumptions about what incarnation it could possibly be. Near the climax of the very first chapter, pages 26 and 27, Terror of the Zygons, the Chase, and the Visitation are referenced, putting into the reader's mind that this could either be the first, fourth, or fifth incarnation of the Doctor. Chapter 6, however, stuffs that idea and makes the book even more noir by depicting the Doctor as a, get this, homeless, cigar smoking genius. I am not kidding. Daniel O'Mahony gives us the Doctor in character just for one chapter and throws all of our predictions as to which it could be away. It's like a shock character reveal in a movie type of appearance in this book, or shock character reveal in a trailer, as so many movies do that nowadays. With regards to what actual incarnation it could be, I have only one logical assumption. Considering that the Doctor said he was 450 years old in Tomb of the Cybermen, the fact that none of the currently concrete incarnations smoke, the fact that the Time Lords can actually renew their regeneration cycles, I'm thinking that there was an abrupt or cut off regeneration cycle prior to Hartnell's incarnation. Oh, but Hartnell's Doctor's really old, it can't possibly be that, I hear you cry. Didn't the young and youthful Matt Smith incarnation regenerate into the much older Peter Capaldi incarnation? It's not that implausible of a theory if you really think about it. The villains of this story, Eric Walker and Avarax, are sublime. Great one-off villains for this Doctor Who novella, both given separate finales in the 7th and 8th chapters of this novella, strongest one of which being Avarax's in the 8th, which also greatly shows Henri Lesureur's darker side. As for additional positives and notations, I'll say that the noir setting is amazing. Daniel O'Mahony has really captured the essence of what a noir setting would be like, depicting dank and grim streets and rowdy, washed-up characters throughout the novella. On top of that, I'll also say that the use of language in this Doctor Who novella is amazing, giving detail to everything in a rather brilliant way. And as a matter of fact, bad language is extremely minimal in this Doctor Who book, with only one singular use being a use of the word bitch, which sort of makes it a rather PG Doctor Who novella for a change, or book rather. Something the younger fan could appreciate if they disagree or agree with my next point. So what I'm basically saying is that younger Doctor Who fans of new series novels could probably get into this quite easily. It's quite a sort of light in terms of themes and or light in terms of mature themes in this Doctor Who book, so I do think the younger Doctor Who fan could quite easily get into this novel or novella if they agree or disagree with my next point. My next point being is that, like Eye of the Tiger, it is pretty focused in terms of telling a story. This does lead the book to feel a little convoluted in places. However, I am not counting this as a negative, as I think from rereads the book will become clearer and make more sense to me, and I still did enjoy the book overall greatly despite that. Chapter 1 and another additional note that I have is that Chapter 1 starts up with an opening scene in which Honro and Emily chat in a cafe, which in general is a really nice scene and does sort of set up the sort of novella really well. I do think it is a really good opening scene, and I do think it's a really smart choice in the contextual sense that this is the sort of Mission to the Unknown sort of novella, which sort of builds up and leads into the Time Hunter series. So I feel that opening this Doctor Who novella up with a scene about the two main characters of that series, Emily Blandish and Honro Lesure of the Time Hunter series, opening this novella up, a sort of prequel, sort of Mission to the Unknown like novella to that series, opening up with a characterization sort of scene between those two characters is quite a smart choice in the contextual sense, in my personal opinion. But the main reason why I point this scene out is that it's possible that Big Finish actually references this in some of their Jago and Lightfoot audios, with some of the adventures starting up with the titular characters chatting in a tavern, from what I've heard courtesy of reviews. Not calling this a definitive reference, but it's something worthy of note. Overall, this freaking novella is practically stellar. And in my opinion is such a good sort of build up
to the sort of Time Hunter series as a whole. In my personal opinion, it was so well worth reading this sort of open introductory sort of Doctor Who book for the Time Hunter series. And Daniel O'Mahony once again just delivered some utterly fascinating things to us, some utterly brilliant characters and an utterly brilliant sort of plot to this Doctor Who book throughout. Probably highlights for me being the 7th and 8th chapters, the characters Aberrax, the magician Eric Walken, the characterizations to Honro LeSure and Emily Blandish, and in particular chapter 6, which is the Doctor one, in which the Doctor actually comes into the limelight, and the one where Daniel O'Mahony depicts him as as I put it, a homeless, cigar smoking genius. In my opinion, was just one of the best and most intriguing chapters of Doctor Who fiction I have ever read, and this was just freaking brilliant. Daniel O'Mahony, you hit it out of the park again. I'm not 100% sure, but do you know what? Fuck it. At this point in time, I'm thinking of giving this Doctor Who novella a 10 out of 10. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm probably going to put a question mark next to the rating. And I think with one more read, this will become a sort of concrete sort of rating. But overall, Cabinet of Light is an utterly stellar Doctor Who Telos novella. I think that rhymes. Stellar novella, yeah, it does. And this will easily add to that sort of list of Doctor Who books that I would take to a desert island that you saw in my top 40 Doctor Who books of all time. And with this novella alone, I think Daniel O'Mahony has cemented himself as to being, good grief, possibly my 4th or 3rd favourite Doctor Who author. My favourite authors being Gareth Roberts, Daniel O'Mahony, Steve Lyons and Terrance Dicks. I just love the intrigue of this Doctor Who book. It's just utterly brilliant to have a noir themed Doctor Who book for a change, and overall it's pretty damn fantastic. Cannot recommend this one enough, and it gets a 10 from me as of now. And if you really like your noir sort of crime stories, I would highly recommend this Doctor Who novella overall. And well, if you like Doctor Who and you like sort of novella crime stories, and if you like your sort of crime stories in Doctor Who, this is a must read in my opinion. And if you're a fan of The Talons of Weng-Chiang, I would also highly recommend this Doctor Who book to you, as it is very sort of reminiscent of that Doctor Who story in terms of the sort of not necessarily noir, because I don't think Talons of Weng-Chiang really has that, but the sort of dank and gloomy and sort of mysterious and maybe bordering on noir sort of murder mystery sort of theme to the story that Talons of Weng-Chiang has. I would highly recommend The Cabinet of Light by Daniel O'Mahony. Overall, 10 out of 10. Great characters, great writing, great use of language, great climaxes, great pace, really packs, really full of detail, which as I said can lead it to feeling a little convoluted, which is why I'm not 100% sure on my rating personally, but I think it does get a 10, and as I said, I think it will get a 10 with another read. But overall, The Cabinet of Light by Daniel O'Mahony, 10 out of 10. If you like your noir stories, if you like your crime stories, if you like The Talons of Weng-Chiang, I would highly recommend this Doctor Who book. I said in Miscellaneous Madness Part 2, when I unboxed this Doctor Who novel and those 6 other deluxes, that this Doctor Who book range might become my favourite Doctor Who book range of all time. And without question, that prediction is certainly off to a very good start.